What's up, baddies? Welcome to the Chatty Baddies podcast, where no topic's off limits. We're bringing you the tea on relationships, sports, motherhood, mental health, pop culture chaos, and everything in between. Whether you're navigating life after a heartbreak, crushing your wellness goals, or just here for the juicy celeb mess, we've got you. So grab your coffee or a harder drink, pop in those headphones, and get ready for some real talk. This is Chatty Baddies. Hey baddies, what's up? Welcome to the Chatty Baddie podcast. I'm one of your co-hosts, Nikki, and at Chatty Baddies we have real talk, but sometimes we get a little deep. And today we're going to dive into the recent headlines involving a CEO, a Coldplay concert, and a scandalous affair. Mm-hmm. Now, I'm going to take a moment. There is going to be a little drama associated with it because it is an affair, high profile. I saw a meme that said, Coldplay hasn't had a single in years, and last night they made two. And then, that's pretty good. Yeah, because it's true.
It is true.
And then somebody asked, "Oh, this is great." Somebody said, "Hey, CEO, what did your ticket cost?" He said, "Half of everything I own."
Half of everything I own. Right.
So here's the thing: we laugh about these things because there's some funny stuff, but you know who isn't laughing are the betrayed spouses and partners.
Right.
So. Today we're going to delve into more of the psyche or psychology behind why people cheat, the infidelity, what really drives people to make that decision when they have what seemingly looks like a happy home, a beautiful wife or loving husband, and drives them to that point. I am joined today, I'm very lucky to have her here, EILEEN BOWMAN. She's a licensed clinical social worker as well as a certified clinical partner specialist. She's here to help us unpack what's really going on behind infidelity. And I just want to dive right in. EILEEN, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you so much for having me, Nikki. Yeah. I'm excited to be here.
You know, in your clinical experience, is it common for someone who has like a high profile job, financially secure, seems to have everything, right? He had the wife, he had the kids, he had the home, he had the job. Is it more common for someone who has everything to cheat? And whether that answer is yes or no, because I'm sure it can be anyone, right. What motivates them to do so?
So I guess my answer would be, in 25 years of doing this, and this is really an area that I specialize in, is working with couples that have just discovered infidelity, or the partners often come to me. So I guess to your question though, what drives people to do this? I mean, I think that I personally believe that anybody could fall into this. That, in other words, everyone is capable of it. And I didn't used to believe that, but the longer I've done this, I've just realized if you don't have healthy boundaries in your life, or if you haven't done your own work to heal your childhood traumas and your wounds and your issues, most people that have affairs would have told you a year before that, 5 years before that, I would never do that. And so when they fall into it, they oftentimes are very surprised themselves. And so, there's a lot to it. I mean, I can't say there's one thing, it's not like for every person it's the same thing.
Right.
But clearly there's issues going on under the surface. Infidelity is a problem. I think we'd all agree to that, right?
So I know a burning question a lot of betrayed spouses want to know. They think immediately, what did I do wrong?
Yeah. Yes. I would say 99% of the time, the women that come in my office are asking that question. What did I do? What did I not do? Yeah. And again, in my experience, and the research would even tell you that it is never, and let me just repeat that, is never the fault of, or the responsibility of, or the cause of the person that has been betrayed.
Yeah.
That is something that I am really strongly emphasize when I work with partners, when they come into my office, just when they're saying, what did I do? What did I not do? And the answer is there's nothing that you did or didn't do.
Right. But why is it more men? Why?
I don't know.
I know it's growing. Women are doing it more and more, but why?
Why?
What's wrong with men?
Well, that's a great question.
We don't have that much time today.
I think if I knew the answer to that, we would, we'd probably be millionaires here.
No way.
If we could figure that out, the answer.
This is going to be a 4-hour podcast just on that question.
I think if I were to hypothesize, maybe, going back to what I was saying earlier, that people who haven't done their own work internally are more susceptible. And I think that men in general struggle with really looking deep and doing the work. And, they don't sit around having conversations with other men about what's going on, or if they have childhood issues or issues in their life, they're not as apt to go deal with them.
Yeah.
And so that leaves them more vulnerable. I think that would be my,
Do you think, to that point, do you think the strayed partner understands the damage he or she has done to their betrayed partner?
Right.
And if so, do you think that happens way far along the continuum, or do you think that a lot of them realize in the beginning? Because there's a dark phase.
Yes.
And I know we talk about spirituality as well in this, and that intertwines with a lot of it, whether people believe in that or not. It's a very real thing.
Yes.
And so when you're in that dark place, are they realizing it now, later on? When does it happen? Everybody's different, I'm sure.
Everybody is different. I would say the majority of people do not consider the effects that this is going to have. They're in a sort of a state of denial. That they're living in a place of not really thinking how this might affect their partner, how this might do the damage it might, that might come from that. I think that it's usually after, D-Day happens, which is what happened with this couple, right? Theirs was on the big screen. It's, most people don't really count the cost. They don't really think through, because I think if they did, they probably wouldn't do it. I think that's what keeps people from having affairs, is even if they're tempted, when they choose not to, it's because they're thinking through how this might go down.
So what do you think it comes down to?
Selfishness, selfishness and temptation. And I want to be really clear, Nikki, I work oftentimes with the people who have also been the betrayed, in other words, they have committed the adultery. And oftentimes they feel really bad. They're confused as to, how did I do this? How did I let this happen? Some have a character, disturbance, and they're just going to keep doing it, and they don't really care how this has damaged, and they'll continue to do it. But I would say there are a lot of people who, they make a mistake and they deeply regret that mistake. They learn from that mistake, and this can be something that turns things around for them.
Well, I was going to ask you about that. Do you think that, and I've heard that, do you think that's a real thing, which it sounds like you believe that it is in your experience, but part of me I've heard so many stories from men and women, and they believe that this could just be like the best way to turn a bad situation into a good situation. They're like, well, good's going to come out of it. And I do believe good comes out of bad in a lot of things, but is that something we just tell ourselves just to make it?
I think it's both and. I think sometimes people hope that this will just be the thing that turns it around, and then it doesn't. But then other times I've worked with couples where their relationship, it went through this, it almost destroyed them, and it has turned their story around, and they have a beautiful story afterwards. But, other people, they have this experience and it ends the relationship, or it severely damages the relationship. And other people have stayed, and then it's happened again. And so, it's complicated. There's no guarantee.
Well, do you think it's a weakness to walk away, a weakness to stay, or is it hard both ways? Which one's stronger?
That's a great question. I sit in a space of knowing that either road is hard. It's like, once you've experienced betrayal, once D-Day has happened, and for this couple, their D-Day was very public. And for some people, they might just find a text message and it's just between the two of them. It's still incredibly traumatic. And even when it's public, that's it's like a whole nother level of trauma. But I don't think there's an answer. I don't think it's weak to stay just for the sake of staying. I think there are reasons why people choose to stay. And I think it's harder to stay than it is to walk away. And so there are times when I work with couples and I can see that someone is true sorrow, it's true remorse, and they are changing and they're willing to change. And so,
is that enough? Is that enough to make the betrayed spouse or partner, whoever? I mean, you can't forget. You have to choose to forgive.
Well, trust is the foundation of every relationship, Nikki.
100%.
And without that, you really can't restore this. And so it takes a lot of work on the part of the person who has done the betraying to restore the trust in the relationship. Without that, even if you stay together, the marriage is going to struggle. It's going to really suffer. And so there has to be trust that's restored. But I don't think it's weak to walk away. Like if this woman decides, I'm done,
which
I can't do
like
this anymore. Yes, but I think initially people have all kinds of emotions, and in time she may divorce him, and in time she may not. That's her choice, right? And as a therapist, I sit in a space of going, I'm just going to sit with people where they are and understand that, again, just like most people would never think they would have an affair, every person that's ever come in my office that has been betrayed says to me, I thought for sure I would have said, I'm done with you, but we have children together. We have a history
so
together.
Deep. It's so much deeper.
So much more complicated than just, I'm kicking you to the curb. Like, it's not always that simple.
Well, I had a pastor who said, everyone is 6 weeks away from an affair. And I didn't know what he meant by that, but you can help me understand. Does that mean that we can all have a thought, act on that thought, and within that time frame?
Yes, absolutely. If we don't have healthy boundaries, if we don't have healthy internal structures, like for me, it wouldn't even just be about, I don't want to hurt my spouse. It's, I don't want to do this to myself.
Right, you
I don't
betray
want to
yourself.
do this to God. I don't want to do this to my children. So if those internal boundaries are not in place, we're all capable. It goes back to what I was saying.
The other question I have, and I did this, again, going straight off the cuff, and I'm not trying, you know me, I don't like to judge. I think God made people the way they are, but you leave your wife and you look at the wife, the beautiful kids, the family, the money, and you see, we all have eyes. We all have eyes.
Yes.
We see what he went with. He jumped over $1 to get to a nickel. He jumped over gold to get to dust.
Exactly, yes.
What? That's my question. What? Why is it always cheating down?
Yes.
I mean, and not always be, but for the most part.
A lot of times it is. And that's a great question. So why is it always cheating down? There is a term, if you want to, if anybody's curious, go Google it, like affairing down. There's podcasts out there, there's articles out there, there's a lot out there that talks about how oftentimes when someone is having an affair, it's like they've got this beautiful spouse, this beautiful family, and they'll go for something that's actually maybe not even as pretty or as smart or as talented or as loving as all those things. And I think a lot of times it's because that person has things inside of them that they don't even realize that they haven't worked through yet. And this person, they're attracted to that. And so it's an interesting
They're attracted
phenomenon.
to the
They're
fact
attracted to something in them that connects with something in that other person, it's like an ugly side of them, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
And that is something that is attractive to both of those two people. And oftentimes when the affair is exposed, it's like they kind of think, what in the world was I thinking? Not always. I mean, some people are exposed and they still carry on with it.
Yeah. But the statistics are pretty high.
A lot of times, when I even just look at the picture of those two when they've done a freeze frame, and this look on their faces is just very...
That's cringe. I cringe.
I've thought about so many people I know and the feeling, I actually have compassion for them. Like, there's a lot of people that are like, I almost feel like this is like in the Bible where Jesus, they came and said, this woman is caught in adultery, stone her. And everybody was holding their rocks and ready to stone her. And he said, well, whoever has no sin, throw the first stone. And I feel like this is just a modern day version of this, where we are all watching on, on social media, millions and millions of people.
Because there's so many people are doing that same day.
They're doing
at
it that same
a low
day.
profile event or at their own home and not getting exposed. And so, it's just, but you also put yourself in that position.
I agree.
Not that you can't have compassion for people. I'm glad that they got
caught. I sit in a position of going, your sins will find you out.
Yeah.
You will, all of us. And this is, again, it's not just for people having affairs. I just feel like for us as human beings, our sins will find us out. We can't conceal.
I've sinned 20 times today. Okay? Already, I'm sure.
Right.
But to your point, but the thing is I know in God's eyes all sin is equal, but let's be honest, on a human level, like if I steal a piece of
Yes.
gum,
Right.
it's not going to be like what Hitler did, or it's
I agree with
or when you
you.
affect a family,
Yes.
children, mother.
The consequences
yeah.
for this sin is oftentimes greater than a lot of the other sins. And so I agree
Yeah.
with you. It's not that I mean, trust me, this is what I do for a living.
Yeah.
I sit in my office every day, all week, and work with people who are in the throes of, like, this couple would be a great example of somebody that would come into my office just
Yeah.
trying to figure out because they have children. They have this whole history together.
know. That
and
breaks my
so
heart.
this the fallout of it. And so anyway, it's just, this is happening everywhere,
Yeah.
and I think it's interesting that as a society, everyone is so fascinated by it and so interested in it. Like, it's really just become
I know,
the
it's blown
subject.
up. I
It
know,
has
it's only just been
blown up, for
hours
sure.
and hours, and it's only been hours and this has blown up. So I
Right.
have a final question, and this has been so helpful. So for anyone out there right now who has either already been betrayed, cheated on, or maybe it's someone who's thinking about cheating on their spouse, on their family. First of all, don't.
First of all, don't.
But what would you say? Actually, what would you say to the person who's thinking about cheating right now?
Wow. To the person that's thinking about cheating right now, I mean, I think it goes without saying, don't do it, but don't do it for so many reasons. Like, I have sat in my office with people who have done the betraying, who it's, overcoming the shame and the guilt and the remorse and this feeling of, I went against my own value system. It's just so messy and it's so hard. And, unfortunately, some people almost have to go through that to be humbled and to learn. And so I feel like we can choose to humble ourselves, and we can choose to, heed wisdom and heed warnings, or we can just go ahead and do that and then have to reap the consequences. The consequences for this are pretty serious. I mean, as we've seen, it's not always on a public level. And even if you think, well, nobody will know and I can get away with it, you're damaging yourself. When you're doing damage to yourself. And if you don't care about your spouse and you have children, think about your children and how this could damage them. Like, if you want out of a relationship, just
don't be a
go
coward.
to the person and say, I don't want to be in this relationship.
But see, I find they don't want to leave.
That's what I see a lot of times too. They'll say, well, I didn't want a divorce and I didn't want to be out of it. They kind of want their cake and they want to eat it too. And so that's selfish. And so again, it's looking at, what am I doing? And maybe I need to go talk to a therapist, or maybe I need to figure out what's driving me to not have any boundaries.
Why do men just say, "Oh, I'm just a man"? Is it mainly sex? Is it a need for connection, or is it like to, I don't know, to supplement their massive ego? What is it?
Well, when you say that, like, I think if somebody says that to me, I'm just going to be like,
you're like, try
that's
again.
ridiculous. Try again. Let's go a little deeper. Like, just the fact that you have, you're a man doesn't equal you. So, and it's not just men. Obviously, women are having affairs too.
Well, who's having the affair with the men, right?
That's right. Yes, exactly.
Right, yeah.
Yes.
So let's talk warning signs. And I hear stories of women or men who say, "Oh, she was less responsive," or he was more argumentative, or he started wearing cologne, or she started doing her hair.
Right.
What do you, not that I'm like, hey, let's tell people what they're, should be on the lookout for. But if anybody right now who is watching who suspects that their partner could be doing that, are there early warning signs to look out for?
Well, I mean, I'm a firm believer that we were all created for connection by God. He created us for connection. And so I think the first thing that comes to my mind is if you feel super disconnected in your marriage, and that's a big warning sign. Now, that doesn't, a lot of people will say, yes, I felt it, and I was telling my spouse that, I was asking for that. And, you can't be the only one to create connection or to make that happen. But I think if there's a significant disconnection, physically, emotionally, spiritually, sexually, that's a warning sign.
Yeah.
If they suddenly are just, spending money or are gone and
abrupt change,
like your cell phone, like suddenly it's like, I don't want you to have my passcode, and I never put it down. I take it with me everywhere. Like those are some
Red
pretty
flags.
clear. People will tell me after the fact, oh, I saw that, or they'll suspect it. One thing I was going to tell you is that there's kind of two different things that happen. Some people suspect it's happening, and when they find out it is, they're hurt, they're angry, they're upset, but they also feel some level of relief that I'm not crazy. I was being gaslit. Now I know my instincts were correct. Then you have the people who are blindsided. They did not see this coming at all. And so both are hard. I don't mean to say one is hard. They're just both hard in different ways. And that's the one that really causes people to question their own gut and their own sense of like, what's wrong with me that I didn't even suspect this? And that happens a lot.
And that's probably part of the reason why they're like, I can't trust myself.
That's right. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yes. That people will, it causes them to question. Like that, I think is the most damage that's done to a betrayed partner is that they not only don't trust their spouse, but they don't trust themselves. They really just question their ability to make decisions and to sense things because somehow this has happened to me. And so there is a whole process that we do just working with partners to try to help them restore that sense of safety and trust.
Safety. That's big.
Safety. That's the biggest thing. Number one, like if you were to ask me, what's the first thing you try to do? I try to help establish safety. Sometimes safety is they need to separate because just his presence causes her nervous system to be completely dysregulated. Yeah. And so that can be down the hall, on the couch. It can be he's got to leave the house.
Right.
But until there's some level of trust restored, a lot of times it's not good to be in that same space together.
That's a good point. I just want to say thank you again for helping us peel back those layers and help us understand a little bit more. This is a very short podcast, but we really just want to say thank you, EILEEN. If you want more information from EILEEN, we'll link this information in our podcast. And until then, be chatty, stay batty, see you back.